Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today it's official. My 53-man roster prediction, the final prediction on who will make the Eagles roster and who will not. We're going to go through every single position group here in this entire video. We're going to start at quarterback and then go all the way through the offense and then the defense and practice squad at the end as well. The Eagles have some fascinating battles. Let's go ahead and break them down. Starting with the quarterback position, they will of course keep three. Carson Wentz 1, Nate Sudfield 2, and Jalen Hurts at number 3. Yes, I have Hurts as number 3 on the depth chart, but it doesn't really matter where he's at. He's obviously going to make the team because they spent a second-round draft pick on him. Focus stays on Carson Wentz, who was fantastic last year. Can he get over 30 touchdowns? That's a question. He was great regardless. This is a guy who is obviously a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League and has the weapons now to go ahead and produce an incredible season in Philadelphia, as he's done for a very long time. But they will obviously keep 3. Coronavirus is obviously a factor here, and if one quarterback gets it, they want to go ahead and have a backup immediately ready to go, and that could be Sudfeld or Jalen Hurts in the case that it was Carson Wentz. Now, we cover all the Eagles stuff here. If you're new to the channel, this is Philadelphia Eagles Now. We cover the Eagles day in and day out, nonstop, 24/7, 365. So go ahead and subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now right now, because it's the best, and in my opinion, the best overall Eagles channel on YouTube. Okay, so looks like we're going to go running back next here, and they're going to keep 4, and the question is, what 4 will they keep? I have Sanders, Scott, Clement, and Elijah Holyfield being, of course, the running back number 4, but really the question is, who will be the 4th running back? Now, Sanders is going to be obviously the starter and get the majority of the carries, and what he did last year, we talked about yesterday on Philadelphia Eagles Now in the news and rumors section, is that he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher, because even though he had 818 yards last year, he said so himself in a news conference the other day that he left out like 300 yards on the football field. So it'll be Sanders, it'll be a mixture of Scott and Clement there at 2 and 3, and the question will be who will be that 4th running back. There are really 3 options. It's Michael Warren, Adrian Killings, and Elijah Holyfield to be the 4th running back. I think Holyfield's going to go ahead and take it. If you guys agree, type H down below for Holyfield. If not, you want Killings or Warren, type W or K. I think Warren probably ends up being a practice squad guy. We'll talk about in a second. Killings is exciting because he's Darren Sproles-esque, but the odds of him actually making the roster and even making the practice squad to me are slim to none. So I think Holyfield's the 4th running back, but they will keep 4, and 3 of those are guaranteed. The question is who will be number 4. Wide receivers is interesting. I say they keep 6 to start, but obviously that'll go to 7 when they bring back Alshon Jeffrey. So Jeffrey starts on the PUP list. That means Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, John Hightower, and yes, Quez Watkins now will probably go ahead and be the 6th running back on the team, the 6th wide receiver, just because you lose Marquise Goodwin, and of course Jeffrey is not going to be active for the first 6 weeks, so you've got to plug him in there somewhere. So Watkins becomes a active depth chart roster guy there as the 6th overall player. Nothing really special here. I mean, it's exciting to see what Greg Ward and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside can do in year 2. How good can John Hightower be, and really Quez Watkins, and then the Deshaun Jackson health factor and the Jalen Reagor explosive factor. All exciting things to figure out and learn to go alongside Carson Wentz, who's probably just excited to have healthy and real receivers out there going into the 2020 season. Who will lead the Eagles in receiving yards? Is it Alshon Jeffrey or Deshaun Jackson? Could it also be Reagor or Zach Ertz? Out of all of these guys, who do you guys think will lead the Eagles in receiving yards? AJ for Alshon Jeffrey, DG for Deshaun Jackson, JR for Jalen Reagor, or ZE for Zach Ertz? And of course, speaking of Ertz, he's been the Eagles' leading receiver for like the past 4 to 5 years. The last time an Eagles player not named Zach Ertz led the team in receiving yards, it was Jordan Matthews in 2015, which is a very, very long time ago. And of course, moving on to Zach Ertz's position, the tight end spot, they're only going to keep 2 on the active roster. You could see a Josh Perkins be brought up from the practice squad because, of course, he did that last year, but there's no need for them to keep 3 because you have 2 very good ones in Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, who, in my opinion, are the 2 best tight ends in the National Football League. I think Goedert comes into his own here in year 3. He's progressed slowly from year 1 to year 2. Big year last year when Ertz was out with a lacerated kidney and broken rib. Both are healthy now, and I think could have a 1-2 punch. A great 12 personnel package formation of tight ends, which, in my opinion, are the most dominant in the National Football League, which you guys agree with, right? Like, there's no other team that has this many 2 great tight ends. If you agree with me, type 1 down below for yes, type 2 down below for no. And of course, if you want any sort of a Zach Ertz jersey, or any sort of Eagle jersey overall, they are all on sale at chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. They're all official. It's the real deal Nike stuff for less than $100. You can get Ertz. You can get Carson Wentz. You can pick up Miles Sanders, who obviously I've said is going to be an absolute superstar. All of these right now, majority of them are on sale at chatsports.com/Eagles jerseys. Less than $100. All authentic Nike stuff. Okay, final spot here on the Offensive side, I think they're going to keep 10 offensive linemen. Your starters are obviously Dillard, Sayamalu, Kelsey, Peters, and Lane Johnson. And your backups will be Pryor, Maliata, Driscoll, Prince Tega Winogo, and Nate Erbig is probably going to be the 10th guy on that list. Although, as we'll show you guys in the practice squad list later on, there are a couple of linemen who could swap in there as the 10th offensive lineman and probably will at certain points during the NFL season. Obviously, Pryor and Driscoll are going to be those options at right guard if Jason Peters were to struggle or get injured. But overall, the starting five looks to be pretty much what we expected in Dillard, Sayamalu, Kelsey, Peters, and of course Lane Johnson, who, side note, has just been replaced or just been put back on the active list after recovering quickly from COVID-19, which is very good news for Eagle fans and for the Eagles in general. That's my prediction for the Eagles offense. If you guys think the Eagles will have a top 10 offense, give this video a thumbs up right now down below that subscribe button. But now, we move on, of course, to the linebacker core, which looks different today because Jatavis Brown retired very unexpectedly just a couple of days ago. So you're looking at probably 5 linebackers they're going to keep in terms of the active roster. Gary Edwards, Duke Riley, Davion Taylor, and Shaun Bradley will probably round out your 5th. Taylor and Bradley being those 2 rookies who are going to see a lot more, at least special teams playing time than expected. They'll probably keep 2 more on the practice squad. We'll show you that here in a second, but 5 linebackers, which is a very weak linebacking core, is probably exactly what Philadelphia is going to go ahead and do. Moving on to, of course, the defensive line. They're going to keep 9 defensive linemen in total, and of course, this is a mix of defensive ends and, of course, defensive tackles. Graham, Barnett are going to be your 2 pass rushers. Cox and Hargrave will be your 2 starting D tackles. Malik Jackson, one of my favorite guys, is obviously going to get a lot of mix in there at D tackle as well. And then the backups, Josh Sweat, the newly re-signed Vinny Curry, Joe Osman, and Hassan Ridgeway will probably round out the 9 there. Jannard Avery is going to be an option to go ahead and make the active roster, but they just did sign Vinny Curry back, so what does that tell you about Jannard Avery, who, of course, they traded for from the Cleveland Browns? I hope he makes the roster, but yeah, obviously Vinny Curry's going to make it over him, so maybe you put him on the practice squad. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Avery, who, of course, they did spend a 4th-round draft pick on just last season. Jackson's the wild card here. Of course, obviously missed the majority of the NFL season, had the injury during the Washington Redskins game in Week 1. I think mixing him in along the defensive tackle and defensive line front is going to create a whole bunch of incredible one-on-one opportunities for guys like Javon Hargrave or guys like Fletcher Cox and even Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett. The Eagles' D-line is a top, in my opinion, 5 defensive line in the National Football League, even though Pro Football Focus might disagree with that. But I think it's, at least at the defensive tackle side of the football, is fantastic and will be, and so they're going to keep 9 in total. There are some practice squad guys we'll talk about in a second, like I keep saying, who could rotate in there, but these are probably going to be your 9 roster spotted players. Who will lead the Eagles in sacks? Let me know about that in the comment section down below, because, of course, there weren't a lot of sacks from the Eagles last year. A lot of quarterback hits, but no one was really into that double-digit frame as we were hoping. So who leads the Eagles in sacks? Let me know down below. Cornerback, the hotly debated one that people keep saying I'm wrong about, but here we go. Darius Slay 1, Monte Maddox 2, Jones will be there, Nickel Roby-Coleman, Trayvon LeBlanc, and Craig James will round out your DBs. Obviously, the question mark here is who is cornerback 2 opposite of Darius Slay? I keep saying Devontae Maddox. A lot of people think it's going to be Sidney Jones. Some people say even Trayvon LeBlanc could get some starting time there at cornerback number 2. The question I have, because I say Devontae Maddox will be number 2, is who plays in the nickel. It's either Jones or Roby-Coleman. I keep saying Sidney Jones, and everyone else keeps telling me, no, Nickel Roby-Coleman's a top 5 slot cornerback in the National Football League. No, he's not. Where are you getting the idea he's a top 5 slot cornerback in the National Football League? The Eagles signed him for next to nothing. There's a reason he was that cheap. He's not bad, and he might even beat out Sidney Jones for the job. But Sidney Jones is a 2nd-round draft pick who should have been a 1st-round draft pick who's been working very, very hard to go ahead and live up to that 2nd-round pick. I think the Eagles want him to start at the nickel cornerback slot, and I think he will. But obviously, I could be wrong overall. Darius Slay has some interesting news in terms of he's going to probably shadow each team's best receiver as he did in Detroit, but that's interesting because sometimes you just play your best cornerback on one side of the football field, like Richard Sherman stays on his side of the football field, where it looks like Darius Slay is going to go back and forth, as he should, covering the Amari Coopers and the CeeDee Lambs and the better wide receivers Philadelphia is going to go ahead and face. And speaking of Darius Slay, he looks great in that new number 24 Eagles jersey, and of course, if you want to pick that one up, you've come to the right place. Chatsports.com/Eagles jersey has the official Nike ones for all the defensive players as well. You get obviously Darius Slay. You probably already have one, but if you don't, Fletcher Cox right there with 91. And then the vintage Brian Dawkins is all still there, all authentic. Chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. Final defensive spot is obviously safety, which has a lot of really good players. Rodney McLeod, Jalen Mills, Will Parks, Kayvon Wallace, and yes, Graylin Arnold probably goes ahead and is the final safety to make the list. Now, if they don't like Graylin Arnold, they could put him on the practice squad and then promote Rasul Douglas, who could be a practice squad guy, and make him be the other defensive back on the list of 6. So you could have 7 defensive backs and 4 safeties if they really wanted to. Will Parks is interesting here. He's not getting a lot of love this offseason, but was a big signing by Philadelphia. How much will he play? It really depends on how great Jalen Mills and Rodney McLeod can mesh together. Kayvon Wallace, the rookie out of Clemson, is interesting. And Graylin Arnold, a guy I covered at Baylor, he's fantastic. And I like the fact that I have him making the roster here on my depth chart. But if you wanted to make him a practice squad guy and then bring Rasul Douglas back up, or keep Douglas and let go of Graylin Arnold, there are possibilities to have there as well. Finally, specials are easy. Jake Elliott, Cameron Johnston will be your punter, who, of course, is entering a contract year, so we'll keep an eye on that. And, of course, All-Pro and Pro Bowl long snapper Rick Lovato is the final player on the 53-man roster. There you go. I mean, that's my projection for the 53-man roster. I think it's pretty much going to look just like that. There could be some changes here and there with injuries, but I think that's the majority of who is going to actually make the roster once we get down to 53s. Right now, the Eagles sit at right about 80 players heading into the start of Helmet Week and Pad Week coming up here next week on at Lincoln Financial Field, or really at the NovaCare Complex in Philadelphia. Grade my predictions overall of the 53-man roster. Do you agree? How'd I do? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments section down below. Practice squad, you got 16 of them this year with the new CBA rules, and so there's some interesting ones here. Michael Warren obviously is going to be a practice squad guy if he loses out the 4th running back spot to Elijah Holyfield, Deontay Burnett, and Robert Davis. Obviously, Davis played on Philadelphia last year when they needed extra wideouts. He's going to be a practice squad guy. There's Perkins, the tight end. He can be called up at any time if you were to have an injury there. Sua Opeta and Luke Jariga are obviously 2 options to go ahead and be the 10th lineman, but it looks like both of them are going to go ahead and be on the practice squad, in my opinion. Casey Tuhill's the pass rusher, the Eagles' final and 10th draft pick in the NFL draft. He's too small right now to make the active roster. You're going to have to go ahead and bulk him up from a practice squad perspective. Raekwon Williams was given the most undrafted free agent money at like $100,000, so he will make the football team, but probably as a practice squad guy. And then there you see Rasul Douglas, who very well could be an active roster guy, and you could swap him with Graylin Arnold to make room to go ahead and have another cornerback, but I think they like their cornerbacks right now, and so for this purpose, we'll put Rasul Douglas there as a practice squad guy. There you go, though. That's my prediction for the 53-man roster, and of course the practice squad guys as well. Do you agree? Do you disagree with anything? Let me know in the comment section down below. Things will change, and the odds of this being exactly dead on are slim, as most projections are, but I think the majority of players I have nailed down here in Philadelphia, and that's just basically what the 53-man roster is going to look like at the start of Week 1 against the Washington football team. All the time we have for today here. Be sure to subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now. Plenty more videos coming up in the coming days and weeks. Again, all the time we have for today. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.